Freedom Wars Remastered feels out of place in this current era. Originally released for the PlayStation Vita in 2014, published by Sony Interactive Entertainment with Japan Studio aiding development, it's an action RPG turned to the handheld market. The operation's well suited for bite-sized sessions, the straightforward hack-and-slash combat. It wouldn't be out of place next to the likes of Monster Hunter Portable 3rd from the PSP era. Over a decade later, Freedom Wars returns in remastered form, yet the landscape is utterly different. Mobile has overtaken handheld gaming, and several action RPGs boast massive open worlds and stellar production values. The closest comparison would probably be Monster Hunter Rise on the Nintendo Switch, and that experience translates to current-gen consoles without much trouble. Even if it's more streamlined comparatively, does Dimp's classic still hold some modicum of appeal today? The answer will obviously vary. If you remember the original and feverishly waited for it to return, then Freedom Wars Remastered may speak to you on console, but more on that later. Those curious about all the fuss will discover an action RPG of highs, lows, and antiquated, albeit intriguing design. Set in the far future where humanity's resources have dried up and every little thing is a crime, you control a sinner who's committed the ultimate offense: being born. Countries have ceased to exist. There's only the Panopticons competing against each other for what little remains. The story begins in the middle of an operation, where your character has lost their memories and a mysterious individual named Ares M appears to tease a pivotal event. It's back to square one afterwards, packed into a nondescript cell, adding to your nearly 1 million year-long sentence for even walking more than 5 steps. There's honestly a lot to take in, and Freedom Wars writing does it no favors due to some long-winded dialogue. The other off-putting aspect is the new English voice acting for Percy Propa, the mascot of the committee running your Panopticon, and your accessory, an android monitoring your every move who can assist in combat. Their dialogue sounds like it's been generated by a text-to-speech program, perhaps meant to match the Japanese voice acting from the PS Vita versions, but sounds much worse. The performance by actual humans is decent, though some characters like Matthias sound a bit low at times.
Initiating citizen extraction. Initiating citizen extraction protocol. Citizen captured by enemy forces. Strongly.
Nevertheless, the world building is fascinating as you earn entitlement points from completing missions and donating materials. Some resources are outside your level at first. Only by qualifying and passing the code exams are you permitted to keep them. The same goes for earning other privileges, like your right to wander outside your cell, sprint, and even get some distance from your accessory. Learning more about citizens, those with rights above the sinners, and encountering rival Panopticon members is one thing, as you must tussle with the mysterious abductors. Even with its idiosyncrasies, the overall pacing of the story is pretty quick, and it's not long before you encounter Beatrice, and the story really gets going. Though there's a lot of info from the outset, the overall gameplay will be familiar enough to fans of action RPG hunting games. You have different weapon types with melee and ranged options available, which can be improved with modules. You also have different thorns, tools that serve as grapples but can also immobilize enemies, boost your team's defense, and even heal when charged up. Their main purposes will be to attach to the abductors and either topple them or sever parts with enough button mashing. During combat, you can issue commands instructing your accessory to perform necessary tasks, which I found to be somewhat finicky at times. However, the loop devolves into entering a mission, slaying enemies, gathering resources, customizing and improving your loadout, and repeat. Higher code levels grant tougher missions, but the variety is sorely lacking. Also, between flat desert plains and a few ruined cityscapes with structures to grapple to, the environments don't serve to mix up the gameplay. The abductors can be intriguing since you can break off different parts and collect them. Some objectives may also require rescuing citizens from their grasp, which means targeting their central pod. If an abductor has a shield, grappling onto those components and severing them is key. You may even blow up certain parts like missile launchers to deprive an abductor of its more lethal weapons. But that's more or less it. Most other times, you'll alternate between heavy and light attacks to execute simple combos, fire from a distance, execute a grapple strike, and maybe chuck a grenade or two. I would have liked to be able to set the camera back further, since up-close lock-ons. Transitioning between different attack functions isn't the most fluid, though it's not a lost cause. It's somewhat surprising how responsive the combat can feel. Shredding through an abductor's armor can feel satisfying, and newer options like animation canceling by activating thorns certainly add more nuance. If only there were a greater variety of enemies or more mission types. How do so many citizens end up needing to be rescued anyway? Even as you work through the story and unravel the world's happenings, it's not long before the gameplay starts to feel overly repetitive. Nevertheless, for those who can get into it, there are enough upgrades and unlocks to keep you playing for dozens of hours. Aside from quality of life features like module synthesis and a higher difficulty in Deadly Sinner mode, the other defining aspects of Freedom Wars Remastered are the visuals. While it sticks to the same anime-esque aesthetics, with the listless color palette befitting a future of surveillance and despair, the 4K resolution and 60 frames per second performance make a significant difference. The details are crisp, and on PlayStation 5, I didn't encounter any performance issues, which is reportedly not the same story on PC, so beware if you're looking to get it on Steam. Again, the visual fidelity isn't going to compete with your Wuthering Waves or Zenless Zone Zeros, but it is a unique atmosphere, unlike so many other titles. Oppressive, yet also oddly jubilant, perhaps in part thanks to the soundtrack. The mix of orchestral and hard rock feels just right, lending some much-needed gravitas to the overall presentation.
Raptor pod detected. Captured resources must be reclaimed. Citizens are to be reclaimed and delivered to resource reclamation units. Hostile forces detected. Prepare to engage.
On the surface, Freedom Wars Remastered doesn't seem like it aspires so much more than simply bringing the classic to current-gen platforms. That itself is noteworthy, and the quality of life features are appreciated, though I can see action RPG connoisseurs rightfully demanding more, even at this budget price point. If this is really the first step towards reviving the series, I'm keen to see what the team can achieve with more contemporary mechanics and design. For now, this is a remaster that will mostly be appreciated by longtime fans, best experienced on the PS5. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.